My 27 female boyfriend, 36 of 8 years, works at the Amazon distribution center, and I'm the one to give him rides to and from work, as he works overnights and I work days. He does have a friend who takes him to work 1 time a week. I also take him to appointments when needed and to the gym daily. He has no car or license due to several unpaid speeding and parking tickets. So about 3 weeks ago, I was laid off from my job in marketing. I was making about $55 an hour and holding things down at home with the mortgage and bills without any issues. So I never found it necessary to ask him for gas money to take him to work and home. I figure he works hard and doesn't get paid much, so why make things worse for him? I fill up my gas tank about 1 time a week for $60. I understand he makes only $16 an hour and works only about 24 hours weekly. I'm privileged to have a master's degree, so I can see how charging him for gas may be an idiot move. But now that I'm unemployed and living on much less from unemployment, I'm on a budget. I'm changing my lifestyle by letting go of my personal training sessions, going natural with my nails, and avoiding overconsumption. So on Thursday, I asked him about paying to fill up my tank once every 2 weeks. I'll pay the other 2 weeks, and he got really upset and told me how much easier life has been for me and how I take that for granted. He also says he doesn't have the money to pay $120 a month for gas, which is understandable because he only makes about $350 every week, even though I've been paying all the bills since we moved in together 4 years ago. I told him I'm not a free Uber service and sometimes feel taken advantage of. He still has avoided talking to me about the matter. Am I the idiot in the situation? Edit, he is not on the deed. I bought this house before we moved in together and I was doing great with my job and making lots of money. This is partly why I'm being so stingy about the money. I can't lose this house. He is asked to be put as an owner as well, but I always brush it off because I know he wouldn't help me pay for it. Wait a minute, he makes $350 a week and can't pay you $120 for gas a month. What is he doing with his paycheck? Girl, he's a 36-year-old grown man only working part-time because you've been footing all the bills for the past 4 years. Now he's got a sense of entitlement, outraged that you would dare to ask him to pay for the gas he's using. Now you're getting the silent treatment because you dared to speak the truth. He needs to get a full-time job and start contributing. As your partner, he should be trying to make your life easier. You're stressed out because you just lost a job. So what does he do to help? Tell you how easy it's been for you? What does he do in his spare time, which he has a lot of? Play video games? How else does he contribute if not financially? Does he clean the house? Does he do more than 50% of the housework since you've paid all the bills? Sure seems like you're getting played. You might be a chump, but you are not the idiot. Adding to this, the deadbeat has already asked to be on the deed. Notice that he only wanted the deed and not the mortgage. OP is his chauffeur and thinks he will get a house out of all of this. Crazy. People treat us the way we allow them to. She has to stop putting up with his BS. How broken is she to think this is okay? Honey, you have bigger problems than your 36-year-old boyfriend not paying for gas. Your man can't keep a license because he drives irresponsibly and doesn't pay his fines, works minimum wage part-time, thinks it's your responsibility to chauffeur him around and pay for the privilege, pays no bills, and started a relationship with a teenager when he was almost 30. He is not a winner. Please, leave him. He's a loser and he's dragging you down. You can do so much better. I, 28 female friend Sarah, 27 female, recently gave birth to her first child 1 month. She's the youngest in our friend group and the last to have a child. We were all very excited to meet her child and support her during her postpartum and her journey into motherhood. So we finally got to see her this Friday and everything was going very well. We all enjoyed meeting as a group and motherhood seemed to be finding her well. But then another friend of ours asked her about her birth experience. Sarah told us about it and mentioned that she didn't have an epidural. I was a little annoyed as some moms seem to think going through unnecessary pain is something to brag about. I didn't think that Sarah was like this, so I said as a joke, "Cool, did they give you a medal or should we do that?" She asked me what that comment was necessary for. I told her that she knew all of us chose the epidural and shaming us for it is not a good look and that not having an epidural isn't something to brag about. She told me it wasn't her intention to do so, but our friends agreed with me and told her that I was right. If her point wasn't to bring us down or to brag, she could have avoided mentioning it. She just said that she was sorry if she upset us, but she didn't mean it that way. It became sour, so we all decided to leave. I thought she would text us later and apologize, but instead, her husband sent us a text from her number. He basically told us that Sarah was incredible during birth and would have been with or without an epidural, and that we were the ones shaming her for not having one. We didn't respond but created another group chat to discuss it. What we all agreed on is that, like many other moms who don't choose the epidural, she didn't intentionally try to shame us, but they very often think of themselves as superior, and it was sad that Sarah, who is otherwise a very kind-hearted person, turned out to be this way. We don't believe we're idiots, but Sarah hasn't talked with us since, and my husband told me that if I thought it was worth ruining a 15-year friendship over, then so be it. I'd like to know if we are the idiots here or if Sarah is. Wow, so Sarah was telling you all about her own birth experience, and you managed to somehow make it entirely about yourselves. How completely self-absorbed you all must be. You are the idiot. You're not there to support her during postpartum and her journey into motherhood. If anything, you're there to attack it for being slightly different from your own. Misery loves company, and OP sounds miserable. I bet if it weren't the epidural topic, it would be that she'd lost all the weight already, had some more maternity leave, didn't get morning sickness, and had a baby that slept through the night. They want an echo chamber of back pats for doing motherhood. However, they are doing it. And if this poor girl had had a traumatic birth or a Velcro baby, or had to go back to work tomorrow, Opie would probably be telling her, well, at least it isn't X because I had Y and it was so much worse. Thank God Sarah has a good husband. The Joker friends can screw off. I hope she finds better friends quickly because, honestly, it wouldn't be a difficult task. OP, it sounds like you're a bunch of cackling witches around a cauldron. You even made a separate group chat to talk about it. That just shows what kind of hill you're willing to die on. I, 51 male, have lived with my girlfriend Lana, 29 female, for a few years. We both work full-time. My job requires me to go on business trips for 3 to 5 days a few times a month, and her job requires presence at the office. We live on a large property, and 2 years ago Lana decided to get a dog. I know a thing or two about dogs, so we settled on a border collie, a very trainable and clever breed. We have an amazing AKC dog that we both adore. A few months ago, Lana decided to take him to a herding class. He loved it, he enjoyed herding the sheep, and Lana was fascinated with how cleverly he handled them. Since then, she came up with an idea. She wants to get her own flock of sheep, a small one, about 20 heads. She thinks we could shear them and get homemade milk and cheese, and our dog would always be entertained. Please note, Lana is a city girl and I was raised on a ranch. I know how much work it is to keep farm animals. She saw a living sheep for the first time when she attended the herding class. 20 heads of sheep is a massive hassle, and we both have full-time jobs. The only plausible way for it to work is if we hire a farmhand, another financial loss, considering that the revenue from 20 heads would barely be able to cover the costs of keeping them. I told her no and detailed why her plan wouldn't work. Even made an elaborate business strategy. She said that it's not a business, it's a hobby, it's not supposed to bring any money. I said it's a very expensive hobby. We make about $140,000 a year combined. We can't just casually run a farm for the kick of it. Not to mention she's not the type of person stand knee-deep in sheep poop, and I had enough of that back in the day. She said I'm unsupportive of her hobbies, which isn't true. Last year, when she was interested in dog agility, I built a simple course on my property so that she could train our dog. She's also a perfume addict, and I always get her new fragrances. But the sheep thing is honestly ridiculous. Not the idiot. Your girlfriend is very immature, but she's 22 years younger than you. She sounds like a teen wanting a pet that she promises she will take care of when you know she won't. Get her a few chickens. In a few months, when she's sick of the daily feeding, letting them out and locking them up, she might realize that sheep aren't for her. I'll be honest, I laughed aloud at this. OMG, 20 sheep! I mean, if it's 2 sheep, people can have these so they don't have to mow the lawn. I also own a collie with strong herding instincts and love that your girlfriend is seriously suggesting what I'll occasionally joke that I'll do. Instead of trying to talk her out of it, maybe visit some farms to do research on breeds, etc. She should figure out fairly quickly that a herd of sheep is no hobby. By the way, she's approaching 30, so she hasn't been a teen for a decade. Sorry, she's 22 years younger than him. I was 22 when I had my first kid. He's old enough to be her dad. It does play into the dynamics. His post literally reminded me of a parent telling a kid no to getting a pet, and the kid not understanding the responsibility and then getting pouty. Also, she clearly has a track record of bad decisions if she's dating someone more than 2 decades older than her. I'm a nearly adult girl with a tween autistic sister. My mom asked me to look after my sister while she went out with friends on Saturday. She doesn't do this often since she was in a toxic relationship for 11 years, so I agreed to help, despite knowing my sister's bedtime anxiety. My mom, 53, was supposed to return around 11 or 12 at night, but didn't. My sister can't sleep without her, so I tried calling and texting my mom but got no response. By 1 a.m. I was worried and reached out to one of my older sisters and 2 aunties for info on who my mum went out with. No one responded, unsurprisingly, and by 2 a.m. I was freaking out. My little sister finally went to sleep, but I felt uncomfortable sleeping without my mom being safely home. I continued trying to reach my mum until 4 a.m. when I decided to lock the door and leave a key, texting her all the info. I woke at 7 a.m. to find my mum still hadn't returned. I waited for a reply and she called around 9 a.m. explaining she went clubbing and fell asleep at her shop since she'd had too much to drink. Once home, she complained about me involving others and threatened to stop going out, saying, and I quote, "Right, well, I'll just never go out again then if this is what's going to happen," and telling me that I had made her feel guilty for having fun. She told me that I was almost an adult and could have handled it myself and that I didn't need to text others, making them unnecessarily worried. I didn't think I was wrong to text my family to ensure she was okay. Edit, I didn't care that she'd gone out clubbing. I was annoyed at her lack of communication. I was worried all night, waiting for a response, and felt so uncomfortable sleeping without knowing where she was. And I know that if it was the other way around, she'd have a problem. She'd cared for 8 children, she knows how to parent, and all of her children have done well for themselves, but I feel like she's starting to care less as she's gotten older. I made a sarcastic comment about how I won't bother next time, and if she's dead, then oopsie. I know it was wrong of me to say, but I was genuinely concerned for her safety, and her having a go made me angry. Her excuse for not communicating was that she was having fun and that you don't really look at your phone when you're out and drinking. She said I should have assumed this. I literally had no clue that she was going out. Also, I should state that I have Tourette syndrome and being in stressful situations can make me tick more. I felt uncomfortable looking after my little sister without knowing where my mom was because it was unsafe. If I'm stressed and I have a tick attack, my little sister could easily hurt herself or me without anyone else there to look out for her. Did I make the wrong choice by texting others? I feel stupid, honestly. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm sorry, it's probably a good thing if your mom were to never go out again if she behaves as irresponsibly as this. Even the most intoxicated people can text. She could have given you a heads up, and you wouldn't have been so understandably worried. Your autistic sister still probably wouldn't have been happy, but at least you would have known your mom was safe and not in a ditch or something. Agreed, if she can't handle her responsibilities of being a parent and communicating with her own kids and babysitter, she shouldn't go out. If she'd hired a babysitter for the night, she would have had the police involved. Missing person, child abandonment, etc. She's lucky you reached out to family and not the police when she still wasn't home in the morning. Shouldn't it be the other way around? The teen girl out clubbing and the mother worrying at home? Man, she's lucky you didn't call the cops to declare her missing. Your mother is being irresponsible by drinking so much that she fell asleep somewhere, knowing she has kids waiting for her at home. You, on the other hand, seem pretty mature and responsible for your age, and if your mom didn't tell you, I'm sorry you had to go through all that worry. My boyfriend was with his ex for 5 years. They broke up because she wanted to move to LA to be an actress and didn't want to do long distance. We met through friends. We've been dating for a little less than a year. I was the one who asked him out. While he's a loving, affectionate boyfriend, I think he's still hung up on his ex. In many ways, I feel like I'm the placeholder for her. He holds a lot of admiration for her. He gave her very romantic experiences and gifts, while I feel more like a friend he does things with. He brings her up when we have conversations with friends. She recently moved back to our city and reintegrated into his social circles. We ran into her and he immediately dropped my hand when we saw her. They said hi to each other. He didn't hold my hand again. I'm doubtful that this is sustainable. He's very sweet, but he needs to heal. Am I the idiot for breaking up with him after he stopped holding my hand? Edit, he didn't introduce me as his girlfriend at the encounter. So he didn't introduce you as his girlfriend? Oh yeah, you gotta go then. You are not the idiot. Don't be a secret girlfriend, it never ends well. You will be miserable and it will hurt the longer you stay. Chances are he isn't over her. OP, you're breaking up with him because he is in love with another woman. You deserve first place in your spouse's heart and an awesome and loving spouse. I suggest you give your friends a heads up when you break up with him on why you are breaking up with him. You don't want him to talk crap about you behind your back. Yeah, it's time to end it. He's definitely still hung up on her, and chances are with her around again, he'll try to get her back. Better you end it now versus waiting it out. You deserve someone who loves you, and you are their number one, not their backup. Also, when you talk to your friends, remember that she's also in these social circles, or at least adjacent to them. This is just something to take into consideration when crafting that narrative. Good luck, girl.